Why is being single and living alone as a 40-yo male still stigmatized in 2024? The stigma comes from the presumption that you're involuntarily single. In other words, that nobody wants you. Just ignore it. You'll never please everybody. I love being alone. I'm 26 and 2 weeks ago I had to move back in with family after living alone for 10 years. Let me tell you that I am counting down the days till I live alone again. Living with people has shown me that I shouldn't want a relationship. Family. Our kids. I've never had a relationship. And it used to bother me. But now I'm relieved. Your life is ideal to me. Just you. And a dog. I look forward to having that one day. As long as you're happy. That's all that matters. Who cares what other people think though? You do you. Dogs are better company than most humans anyway. Don't care what other people think. It's a waste of energy. To answer your question, I imagine it being that society has an expected trajectory and milestones for people to hit. 1. Older generations. Everyone got married to someone out of necessity. We don't need to anymore. But they can't register that. 2. People who have never lived alone. I have friends who can't stay alone at home ever. They are projecting their issues onto you. 3. Misery loves company. Some people get married and have kids because society tells them to. Not because they themselves decide to do it. They follow a script. You don't have to. They complain all the time about their spouses, kids and everything. Then in the next breath ask you, why aren't you doing it? Single quote. If you do it, they'll laugh at you. See, it's hard. We've all been through it. Now it's your turn. They want you to suffer as much as they do. Of course this is not for happy families. They don't bother you in my opinion. Don't listen to old generations and people who follow societal norms and regret it. Just live your life. They'll talk if you stay single. They'll talk if you aren't. Why is being single and living alone as a 40-yo male still stigmatized in 2024? Because a happy man isn't something society consider normal. Because most people can't live by themselves and deal with their own problems, so they just find a second person to love them out of their situations and think they found happiness. When somebody doesn't go through that same pattern, they just think they're a weird loner that can't find a partner instead of wondering why they couldn't love themselves enough. Because a lot of people think that you need to live life in a particular way and that certain things are nominal and other aren't. You don't meet the norm in their eyes and therefore there has to be something wrong with you. This always depends on your environment. Where I live I'm a complete outlier because I got married in my early 20s. The norm here is that people get married at around 30. In other places people wouldn't care a bit. 3 stages to life I saw somewhere once. 1. You worry what people think of you. 2. You don't worry what people think of you. 3. You realize that people don't think about you. They are only worried about themselves. Change the genders and you'll get the same exact expectations. You do you. And please give your dog a pat from me. If you're happy, who cares? I'm 50 and live alone. Never married either. I'm happy being single. Because the normal path is, man gets married and raises a family. And they probably really want you to have children of your own to keep the family line going. When someone chooses not to have kids, which is a given when having no partner, it forces them to confront their own mortality. Ignore what your family says. A good relationship should at the very least not make you less happy. If you've consistently found yourself much less happy when in romantic relationships, stay single. It is. I'd think being 42 and having roommates would be way worse. Because most people don't want to live alone and assume that anyone who lives alone must have something wrong with them that keeps others from wanting to live with them. They assume that someone in their 40s living alone has given up on the dream of living with a partner and want to encourage them to keep trying so they can have a decent life. Frankly, I don't understand how someone could want to live alone, but I take people at their word on it. None of my business anyway. Because for the whole existence human beings were social creatures. To marry and get children was for the last few thousand years the only goal they had. I am sure something similar to marry was even done 10,000 BC. Of course everyone thinks this is strange if you are still without a partner and without children. But I am jealous of you tbh. Sometimes I also think that life is more enjoyable this way. Many people find living life alone to be lonely. I'm in the same boat. They're just insecure when alone emo. Because anyone outside a societal and cultural norm and expectation is considered odd, wrong, or a fail at life. Society has a fairly linear path of progression through life, and if you deviate it's not a success. Because of our cultural pressures we accept and adopt that philosophy. It's more cultural and Western. As if your kid moves out of home young in some Asian cultures for example, you've basically failed as a parent. So it's all relative to your cuctor. As an aside, living home alone at 33 with my dogs is peace.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.